May we speak about the mind and if it's possible for a mind to be storyless. Well, anything's possible ultimately, but no, like, it could be, but really it can't be. I'm going to totally, I mean, anything's possible, but really I don't know what you mean by the mind, but this is interpreted at the moment through human body mind mechanisms. And the one thing that the human has, which is different from most other animals, is the ability to think and tell stories. And telling stories is so incredibly important. Everything is a story. Like science, the way we communicate science, mathematics, anything that you think wouldn't be a story and would be a fact is actually a story. Our whole world is based on a story. Our ability to make an iPhone is based on a story. Our ability to create light when there's no sun is a story. By being able to communicate stories to each other, by being able to communicate how that works, by being able to communicate ideas. And so storytelling is really, really important for the human being. It's the way that we've become so successful in survival. The other story that humans have, and this energetic thing which claims it as well, believes these stories to be true. And that's where the danger comes in. They're not true. They're reference points. So we can talk about light, because it's reference to dark. We can talk about energy, or we can talk about being energetic, like hyper in relationship to not being hyper. Our whole language is based on comparison, this and that. There's no absolute to anything, even with maths, even with science. I mean, science is always coming to the conclusion that it can't really prove anything definitely. That's because it's based in a language that can never be a definite. The language is based on comparison. So therefore, language is always moving and changing. But this is where our ability as humans is amazing, because we have the ability to tell these stories continuously and constantly update information. And the internet at the moment is like a massive storyteller. And we're becoming such good storytellers. You know, we watch so much film and TV. Our stories sometimes go a bit bizarre, but it's constantly updating information, making these brains, I don't know if it's bigger because some of the stories we tell are really stupid, but it's using the muscle of storytelling. So it's really important. Like, yeah, it's really important to have storytelling as a human being. So when you say mind, I suppose you mean brain, but that's what, or being alive as a human, that's what has to happen. There's not always, I suppose, storytelling going on, but most of the time, like, we need to tell ourselves, oh, I need to go to work now, or I need to get dressed now, or have a shower. My dog can't. I realized today that I play with her. It's so cute. I play with her. She sleeps on my bed. I'm naughty. She sleeps on my bed, and I play with her. When my foot is under the cover, I bounce up and down, and she gets so excited by this. She thinks that's such an exciting game. It's like an animal under the cover, but it's my foot. I thought she kind of knew it was my foot. Like, I thought she knew it was me. Like, I'm sitting there like, ah, da, 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 making all these noises, and I do it with my hand as well. But today, I took a treat and showed her, and then put it under the cover, and she couldn't work out that that was my hand poking up at her. She kept looking at me for the treat, and she wanted to go this way to get her a treat. And I was poking the treat under the cover at her, like, dum, dum, dum. And even with her smell, she still believed that I was over there, I suppose with the head. Like, she couldn't see it connected to my body, so she kept trying to come here for the treat. And I was like, no, it's under here. And I kept showing her, look. So, and the reason that we know is because we can tell stories about it. We can teach each other all these different things, and it's not reality. Like, the cover's not really a cover, my foot's not really a foot, my body's not really a body. That's our language that we use in order to communicate. we think that if we stop storytelling, we will be free. That's not the freedom. The freedom is the energetic contraction which sucks all this stuff in. And then it has an effect on the stories, this energetic contraction. What it then does is, then the stories sort of feed off this idea that you're actually in here and that you are something in here, that you are a separate person in here. So then it goes into a bit bizarre storytelling, and these kind of fall away when it changes. Like, there can be a certain amount of blame. Like, if somebody ran over my dog, I'd be like, no, you ran over my dog. Or somebody stole my car, I would try and get them to pay for it. But it's like, ultimately, it's nobody's fault. It's just happening. And when it becomes so apparent, there's not really anything to blame. There is in the character world in a limited way, but there's nothing really acting independently. And this becomes so apparent. But obviously, if somebody breaks into my car, I'm going to be like, you pay for my car. If somebody dog peed in my car, I'd be like, you pay for the car cleaning. Like, so it's not, I'm not talking about a behavior that comes with, it's more that there's just a change that happens. And this is no longer seen as personal. So it's not the stories that are a problem, it's this contraction. But this contraction in a way does make the stories have a certain quality to them. And then the stories to that person are really real. So what they tell, if somebody's an asshole or if somebody's bad, they really believe that's real. It's really funny. Some gossip was being spread about me recently, and I tend to just ignore it, because when you're the public figure, so when you're the one that everyone's looking at, you're going to get gossiped about. And sometimes it's nice gossip, and sometimes it's quite horrible gossip. And I found out about this gossip, and a few of my friends were the ones that told me. And I didn't reply or say anything to it. And I realised by not replying or saying anything to it, these friends believed it was true, because I'd not given them another story to compare to. It was really funny. Like, they just took the other story, because we believe in stories so much. So because I didn't come up with another story, with a counteractive story, then those friends thought that it was a real story. They didn't have something to imagine it out of. So we always take what these stories and what people say as really true, and we create such dramas by doing that. He said this, she said that. If I didn't give them another story to believe, then they just believed the one they had. That's funny.